continue how we continue to fight for what we believe is important for civil rights, for equal opportunities for everybody. So we're also in a first of all, I would like to say welcome. We have people here from all over. We have people here from Randolph and from Revere and from Brookline and from Newton and Brighton and Needham. And let me see, are there any more communities that I'm missing? I don't think so, but it's a pretty big geographical community we have now. And I also want to say that I'm Rabbi Lior. I'm the chaplain at the Jack Satter House in Revere. And together with me leading the service today is Rabbi Sarah Pasha Orlo, the director of the Spiritual Care Department of Hebrew Senior Life, Reverend Barbara Groover, who is a chaplain at the Simon C. Fireman Community in Randolph, Rabbi Jim Morgan, the chaplain in Center Communities of Brookline, and we will have shortly, hopefully, Reverend George Oliver, who is a chaplaincy resident for Hebrew Senior Life this year. So this Martin Luther King Day today falls on a very interesting week because at the same time we're remembering and celebrating his legacy. In 2 days, we're also having an inauguration for President-elect Joe Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris. And I thought that I'd mention today, because of what we're celebrating today, also how hopeful this inauguration makes me today, as we celebrate the inauguration of the first woman and person of color in the position of vice president. And I thought I'd open with a short prayer written by Alden Solovey, a prayer written for the inauguration. It's called For Government. And he says, "Let deliverance arise from heaven, bringing justice and enlightenment to the nations of the earth and to the leaders of the United States, bringing grace, love, and compassion to the halls of power, the seats of government, the capitals of our world, to grant the heads of state a new vision for safety and prosperity, friendship and cooperation, so that all may know the fullness of your blessings in a world of generosity and kindness, tranquility and peace. May you, who gives redemption and governance to presidents, reward us with political leaders with true vision and deep understanding of your instructions to rebuild and renew the earth, so that economic, legal, social, and environmental justice may bear fruit for generations to come. Amen." So I'd like now to invite Rabbi Sarah Pasha Orlo to say a few words for this day.
Thank you, Lior, and it's really a pleasure to be with you today and to be in this time with so much going on in our country, having the opportunity to remember and honor someone who really left a tremendous legacy in the world. So I wanted to, just gonna wait till that noise goes away. Can you mute that, Jim? Thanks. I wanted to share with you a piece that the CEO, Lou Wolf, and I wrote together to send out to all of the HSL community in honor of this day. We are Jewish, we are Black, we are Latino and Latina, we are Asian, we are white, and more. We are Americans who emigrated from countries around the world. We are from other parts of our great country, and we are from Boston for generations. And we all chose to work at an organization, work and live, I'll say, founded to serve a historically persecuted minority and which is committed today to serve all vulnerable members of society. We are Hebrew Senior Life. We face together on this Martin Luther King Jr. Day the blunt reality of the past few weeks, when a white supremacist and anti-Semitic mob ransacked the Capitol building, the heart of our democracy, and took the lives of 5 individuals and threatened the lives of our democratically elected officials. How do we honor Martin Luther King Jr., who sacrificed his life standing for the equality and well-being of all Americans? How do we look his memory in the eye when, as a nation, we have fostered lies, tolerated senseless hatred and bias, broken our tradition of welcoming immigrants, and lost our compass as an international beacon of democratic values? We do it by the work that was sparked after the murder of George Floyd and so many others. The work of the Black Lives Matter movement is enabling many Americans and American organizations, including HSL, to begin to address more directly and boldly the systemic racism that has resulted in tremendous inequality and the violence and the ongoing persecution of Black and Brown people in modern society. We are looking with clear eyes and honesty at the inequity and masked history of oppression and discrimination. In 1967, Reverend King called for creative maladjustment, wherein people refuse to normalize inequality and work continuously to expose injustice, so that, quote, we may be able to emerge from the bleak and desolate midnight of man's humanity to I quote Reverend King, we may be able to emerge from the bleak and desolate midnight of man's inhumanity to man into the bright and glittering daybreak of freedom and justice. We are currently in a period of intense creative maladjustment, as King would have called it, which can cause people to react violently as they seek to preserve the status quo. The purpose of this violence is to scare us and deter us from looking closely at the truth and turn us away from our actions. But instead, we must look deeper and turn to hope. The hope that while many in our society have gone deep in the wrong direction, we can turn this all around. We can commit to the values that make us a great nation and work to rid our society of the lies that have divided us. The Reverend Raphael Warnock, one of 2 newly elected senators from Georgia, is the pastor of the historic Ebenezer Baptist Church in Atlanta, where both Martin Luther King Sr. and Jr. served as pastors. As Reverend Warnock preached a week ago Sunday, standing where MLK once stood, so there is victory in this moment. There is violence in this moment. There is fantastic opportunity and fierce opposition. And it reminds us that there is still a whole lot of work to do. Thank you. And we share with you now a beautiful version of America the Beautiful with some new verses that I believe can be an anthem for our time.
Okay, one moment.
Do you have the lyrics too to post?
Yeah, I believe they are going to be here.
Oh, beautiful for spacious skies, for amber waves of grain,
for purple mountains, majesties above thy fruited plain. America, America, God shed much grace on thee. So spread the love sent from above, from sea to shining sea. beautiful, thy immigrants who hail from every land.
Their hope and heart and diligence, like gifts from God's own hand. America, America, thy grace shall yet remain to greet the poor who reach this shore with open arms again. Oh, beautiful, oh, Mother Earth, all nestle at your breast.
Just as we sing with love and pride, so all nations are blessed. Yes, America, America, alone cannot abide. No, God give thee pause to mend thy flaws with truth, thy only God. Oh, beautiful, thou working folk built cities, till thy soil. Proud Africans in bloody chains, the wealth built from their toil. Yes, Lord. America, America, God shed much grace on thee. So spread the love sent from above, from sea to shining sea. Bring sisterhood, bring brotherhood, from sea to shining sea. Oh, yes.
Wow, that was amazing.
Thank you, Rabbi Sarah, for sharing that with us. I invite now Reverend George Oliver to say a few words about a project he's been working on for the past few weeks. We're hoping that all the technology parts are going to work because we've had a lot of challenges over the past few days with this. And Reverend George has been working day and night trying to get all the pieces together. So I passed Rabbi Jim. I think we need to make George co-host so he can share screen also.
He should be able to share the screen without being a co-host. So
Okay.
go ahead and try it, George. If necessary, I'm happy to make it, but I don't think we need to.
All right, we'll do. Okay. Well, hello everyone. How are you? Happy MLK Day, and what a great, joyous occasion we are having here. Pardon my having to search for my video here. I'm gonna open it. Oh my God. All right, so what I'm gonna do is open up my video project in a different format so that everyone can share. I'll talk as I'm finding it, or I'll turn my screen sharing off while I am finding it. So for the last several days, we had the opportunity to talk to several of our members of staff and some of our residents to talk about what they did to make the world a better place. What was the focus of lives toward uplifting the poor, or toward bringing people who were refugees or from other immigrant statuses to this country. So we have talked to a number of people who worked on racial justice, on criminal justice, etc. And so we wanted to share some of their stories with you, as well as some of the words from Martin Luther King.
George, when you share, you make sure to click
Pulling
the
up
button.
Yes, absolutely. I'm just having to open it up a different way in another screen.
No, I understand.
Just give me
Make sure
just a
to click
second.
the audio button, okay? Because otherwise you won't be able to hear it well. Okay.
While we're waiting, I want to tell you I was just very moved by that video version of America the Beautiful, which I've always thought really should be our national anthem. Can you please tell us how to access that? Put it in the chat or put it in one of Rabbi Jim's wonderful bulletins. Thank you.
We'll do both.
All righty. I am almost to the place where the actual video is. Here we are.
It does feel powerful to take something that is ours and make it ours again, in terms of America the Beautiful, somehow to take a song that is at the heart of our history and be able to bring it into the present. Feels very, very powerful.
Well, it's such I feel it's so much more appropriate a song than the Star Spangled Banner. I just really have a hard time with that being our national anthem. Might even be a little bit different culture in this country if we had a different national anthem, don't you think?
Plus, America the Beautiful is so much easier to sing.
Yes, it is.
And it was written right here in Massachusetts. It was written in Falmouth.
Yeah, no, the Falmouth Library is on the Bates Boulevard down there. So maybe I'll sing a song, Leora, while George is working out his or should we move on to a different thing and let George figure out his?
I was just thinking how powerful it is in all kinds of gatherings when we start with a song, and having common songs is really good. Of course, we have our Jewish heritage, but this song has possibilities as a song in the movement towards the new world that has to be beginning now.
Yeah. And even in the original version of that song, there is an emphasis, right, on America is not perfect, right? There's still work to be done, which this version also takes seriously, which I think is quite powerful.
Well, I thought that give thee pause to mend thy flaws.
Love that.
Brilliant. And I mean, here with the 2020 version, we're in the Corona pause, right?
So Rabbi Jim, I think that'd be great. So if you could.
Good. All right. So let's lay down our sword and shield then.
I love that.
I'm gonna lay down my sword and shield down by the riverside, down by the riverside, down by the riverside. I'm gonna lay down my sword and shield down by the riverside. They're gonna study war no more. I ain't 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 gonna study war no more. I'm gonna lay down my heavy load down by the riverside, down by the riverside, down by the riverside. I'm gonna lay down my heavy load down by the riverside. They're gonna study war no more. I ain't 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 gonna study war no more. I'm gonna shake hands around the world down by the riverside, down by the riverside, down by the riverside. I'm gonna shake hands around the world down by the riverside. I'm gonna study war no more. I ain't 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 gonna study war no more. All right. Thank you, Mayim. Thanks, everyone. All right, George, how we doing?
Is it working?
I believe I've got it. So let me
Whoa.
open this back
Awesome.
in full screen.
Go for it.
One of the things that many people will say as you get older, I don't care at all what somebody thinks of me. I could care less. And the older I get, the more that's true. It was killing these kids and was saying that if we don't go, that the Vietnamese are going to get in the ships and they're going to come to California and invade us. And it was like these people are farmers and they have these boats that if I blew on it, it would fall into the water. So it didn't make any sense to me. And then I looked more into it and then Minus kind of that was going to bring the troops back, and I think that was the reason why they drew them. I can't be sure if I made up my own little story. But the whole country was beginning to be against the law. And finally, and I know there was a lot of violence, but they really had to stop this war, killing these kids, going over, and we didn't even know who we were fighting. The Viet Cong and at night, and not Vietnamese, sorry, Viet Cong during the night, Vietnamese during the day. Not Vietnamese during the day, so that they didn't need us there. They were saying that there was gold, there was oil, there was just so that they a lot of people got very, very wealthy with this war. And I think that was the main thing. It was the wealthy getting wealthier. So that's when it first started. And then civil rights came in, and it was like, I just didn't understand why we were doing this at all. We considered every American free. Why are you putting these people in jail like they're still slaves? It was just inhumane for me to watch this. And I was so happy that they finally got through. Something happened. And now we're in the same predicament with Black Lives Matter. I don't understand it. I don't understand people's hate. We're very hateful people. And I want to slap these people into reality.
Reverend George, I don't know if it's just my computer or if the sound is not working.
I think the sound just went out. Hold on. Lior, I think that what will be best is for you all to go on. We got a little taste of this video afterward, after we can get it successfully.
Maybe try getting it back up onto YouTube. Maybe we'll have some luck, and we can add it.
And it was this Johns Hopkins School of Advanced International Studies. And when I entered there in June, there was a seminar. It was on Africa, actually. And the visitors to that seminar, which lasted all summer long, were African students. The seminar had been underway maybe for about 2 weeks. And a lot of the research work that we were supposed to be doing was at the Library of Congress. And I noticed that when we broke for lunch, the white students who were Americans and Black students who were from Africa went their separate ways. And I finally asked one of the African students, why don't you join us for lunch? It seemed like we were all attending the same seminar. And he said, well, we can't. There isn't any place in the District of Columbia where the Library of Congress. So that was my first awakening. And at that time, I joined, there was a Unitarian minister, E. Powell Davies, who was the only one who issued a list of those restaurants that would allow Blacks to eat. And from there, I went into the sit-ins. I was sitting in a People's Drug Store. And that was my first actual experience with what was vision.
How did it make you feel when you first had to interact with it?
Pardon me?
How did it make you feel when you first had to interact with it? Segregation.
Well, the first thing was that I couldn't understand how the capital city of a country wouldn't allow visitors to join in and eat in restaurants. I mean, it was just, the whole thing was puzzling. And of course, there was no answer. But I did become part of the sit-ins at the People's Drugstore, which actually had a small area where people could sit and eat lunch.
Now, let me ask you just really.
This is a real pivotal moment, though, because a woman, a black student, came and said to me right straight on, okay, I want to hear what you have to say about my experience. And the light bulb went off. And at that point, I don't think we had the vocabulary intersectionality, but I certainly, I got that what I was, even though I think I did have a little bit broader a viewpoint, Janae, she just put it right out there. And we became very close, and I learned an enormous amount. And mostly I would say what still now is to listen, to listen to other people's experiences.
My hair. I'm not even kidding. Because I was very angry. It got me angry because I remember hating my hair, which meant I hated myself, right? I remember, I literally, I've damaged a lot of it. Which damaged my psyche, right? So having that felt like, I remember saying, oh my God, I hate this, hate that, or growing up, people saying, telling when my parents, you have to fix that bad hair, and all these different things, and that's basically how we all grew up, hating ourselves because we had to emulate, this European standard of standard of beauty, blah, blah, blah. That's when I had this whole revelation. I had always kind of had something there, right? Like, as you know, I really had my moment of I realized how brainwashed I felt, and just feeling like, I wanted to learn more. I wanted to learn more about myself. I wanted to be able to do more, and I wanted to be able to teach others what I had discovered. Discovered that I shouldn't hate, and yeah, it sounds so simple, but I, hate my kitchen. Like all these different things, which. Also, Vanny, I want to hit my body. When I was younger,
you mind pausing?
Just have hits and what? And
you gotta answer what the kitchen is.
The kitchen is. That's right. My kitchen are basically my new growth, and little curls. The minute I saw little curls on my head, I wanted to straighten them because I meant my hair was gabby.
You gotta get out of this. Get out, please get out, please.
Or come to my hair to work like this was something that was not okay before. And now it's a whole different ballgame. Now you're not going to tell me,
Stop the chair, Jim, or George, please.
Everything everything my culture, and it's different. And I want other people to
Stop.
Not just my hair, but take it in the fact of learning more about themselves and learning your history.
Okay, there we go. Okay. So unfortunately, we have some
technical issues,
and we can't get the sound. So hopefully, we will be able to upload this video onto YouTube and share it with all the communities to watch. And for now, Reverend George, I hope you're still here. I see your thing just popped off. If you're willing just to tell us a little bit about the interviews you've had. Just so we'll get a taste of people you spoke to and what they shared. If your phone is still on, oh, not anymore. So Rabbi Sarah, were you, do you want to tell us a little bit about the idea behind this project?
Hi, just give me 1 second, and I want to see if Reverend George will come and talk through it. And I know he had incredible frustrations with the technology.
No, I can just call him in.
Great.
Hang on.
I know that he personally felt inspired by many of the conversations he had and really wanted to be able to create something that could share those conversations with all of you. So this will be available on YouTube, and I think what it opened up was just the incredible diversity of who we are, and the many, many people, including some on this call, and maybe all of us, to think about those times when in our lifetime when we stood up and did what we believed in was right, and in that way made a difference in society. And in my mind, if we had the ability right now, I would almost want us to break into small groups and be able to share those stories with each other, because and maybe that's something, you know, to do today, to have as a kavanah, to have as a spiritual attention today, in this time when many of us are feeling so powerless or so distraught by the ways in which our country is being threatened by such devastating and fascist views, that it's time to share those stories. And I think especially for everyone on this call over 50, and Leora, you can come along as well, and Barbara, but to think back on those stories and call someone today and share. Take the moment to call someone and tell a time, whether, I mean, I was out there protesting for everything from LGBTQ rights to AIDS, to AIDS drugs availability, to women's, you know, taking back the night marches. I mean, I think I must have spent 8 years easily protesting during college, high school, and the beginning of rabbinical school, and into the heart of the AIDS crisis. So I want to call upon all of you to take those life experiences when you stood up and worked and spoke about what was right and what change was needed, and share those with someone younger than you, because the next generation needs to hear that, and they need to understand what's possible in this country and that we can take those next steps. So thank you.
So would anyone like to share something that they've been very committed to in their lives, that for social change, social justice? Mine?
Well, I work on environmental causes. I'm very involved in the climate crisis movement, and I think I work as hard as I did whenever I was working on that, pretty much every day. So it's a good thing.
Thank you. Thank you, Maim. And your name, Maim, also so appropriate for water in Hebrew.
Yeah.
And we have Mimi here, who was in the video. Could you share with us in real time what you shared in the video, Mimi?
Let's see. Okay. Do it like this.
I don't know if I can be coherent right now, but I do want to just say, Rabbi Sarah, that I have no worries about the younger generation. They are really right there, and I'm learning a lot from a lot of them. So with that said, Reverend George and I talked for quite some time, so I'm not sure even what I could piece out from that. Okay. One thing I would say is that as far as where I am now, I'm not marching on the streets anymore. I'm just trying to do whatever there is right in front of me, which means that I live at 1550 Beacon, part of the CCB community. And there are people who live here who, when I wear my Black Lives Matter mask, say, all lives matter, and I don't see color. And that's the thing that I think we have to confront in all of us, thinking that we have uncovered all of the racist ideas we have, thinking that we have uncovered all of our homophobic thoughts, whatever they are. And when we hear someone say something that we know needs to be looked at, just speaking up and saying it. So when somebody says, I don't see color, I say, that's pretty boring. How about, having some kind of joy in the diversity of all of our expressions? Enough from me.
Thank you so much, Mimi. So I'd like to share with you a song. A few years ago, right after the last inauguration, I was in Atlanta, Georgia, and in a rabbinic conference. And we got to hear live on stage a woman named Mary Gurley, who was a childhood friend of Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. And she sang on stage his words, If I Can Help Somebody. And it is so powerful. Her voice is unbelievable. And it's so powerful. And I think that's exactly what I feel today, right? We're doers. We want to do, we want to change, we want to make this place a better world. So I'm just gonna share with you this song, and then we're gonna hear from Reverend Barbara Gruber. So one moment. Let me just find the right recording. There we go. There we go.
Somebody
Reverend Barbara.
Thank you. Just have to take a moment to really settle my spirit and pull myself together. That word speaks to my soul and to my experience as a young girl from a place called Sparta, Georgia, several miles from Atlanta, Georgia. And I identify so well with that song that my community of faith sings so very often. But as we continue in this, so thank you, Lenore, and to all of you for sharing and celebrating with me and all of us as we celebrate the birthday of the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. As we commemorate this national holiday in celebration of the life of the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King, who would have been 92 years old today. I'd like to share with you a few of Martin's words that his wife, the late Coretta Scott King, shared in a book that was gifted to me. And as a minister's wife myself, I know how important it is and what our eyes see and our family behold. And she had a collection of Martin's speeches, various that was meaningful to her, and she composed and put them into a book. And I will share these words that was written in the book, the words of Martin Luther King Jr. Quote, "When evil men plot, good men must plan. When evil men burn and bomb, good men must build and bind. When evil men shout ugly words of hatred, good men must commit themselves to the glories of love. Where evil men seek to perpetuate an unjust status quo, good men must seek to bring unto being a real order of justice." Yes, some would want us to believe that the plight of our democracy is said to be in jeopardy, as displayed by evildoers on the morning of Wednesday, January 6th, a few days ago, when we all witnessed the acts of evil, hatred displayed on the Capitol, in an effort to overshadow a time of celebration. That John Ossoff and the Reverend Raphael Warnock flipped the United States Senate. Yes, an act of justice and history was indeed being made. Both Warnock and Ossoff will respectfully be the first Black and Jewish senators to represent Georgia as a state in these United States of America. In spite of what our eyes have seen and our ears have heard, let us celebrate what our heart, our soul has hoped for and prayed for. We can celebrate this Georgia election of these two men, celebrating, yes, in conjunction with the life of the Martin Luther King Jr., who walks the clay hills of Georgia and walked the halls of Morehouse College, who worshiped at Ebenezer Baptist Church, who preached and prayed and protested. For this to be our reality today, let us celebrate that there has been a shift in the nation's Senate. The results of an election in Georgia where two men, not evil, but two good men, walked together and fought together to bring about change. All the gloom of what we all witnessed tried to overcome our jubilation, that we must feel that there is nothing to celebrate. But I say yes, I choose to celebrate that a Black man and a Jewish man will go to the Senate and will dismantle the plot of evil with a plan for good. Two of our sons who will not burn or bomb, but yet build and bind us together. They will silence the evil of ugly words and hatred by committing themselves, in the words of Martin Luther King, to the glories of love rather than hate. I ask you to join me in the celebration of the life of the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., that reminds each of us that evil men would seek to perpetuate an unjust status quo, but that we have good men, two of them who will bring into being a real order of justice. Yes, we celebrate the life of the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., that his living indeed has not been in vain. We celebrate and will continue to fight for justice for all, that our living too will not be in vain. In closing, regardless of one's political view, whether conservative or liberal, Republican or Democrat or independent, Jew, Muslim, Christian, or any other faith, we must continue to fight for justice and celebrate every milestone. And now, I share with you this benediction of prayer. We've only just a minute, only 60 seconds in it. Forced upon us, we can't refuse it. Didn't seek it and didn't choose it. But it's up to us to use it. We must suffer if we lose it, give an account if we abuse it. Just a tiny little minute, but our eternity is in it. Let us continue to fight, as John Lewis would say, the good fight, fighting for justice. Amen, and amen, and amen.
Amen, V, amen.
Amen.
All right, so we'll close now with We Shall Overcome, which before we sing, I just wanted to let people know, in case you didn't know, that tomorrow evening at 5:30, there's going to be a national memorial service for in memory of all that all whom we've lost in the COVID pandemic. So I've put the Facebook link in the chat, and you can tune in on television or on social media tomorrow if you are so moved. All right, so. All right, so We Shall Overcome. I want to thank Lior and Reverend Barbara and Rabbi Sarah and everyone who came and made this commemoration so meaningful. We shall overcome. We shall overcome. We shall overcome someday. Oh, deep in my heart, I do believe we shall overcome someday. We'll walk hand in hand. We'll walk hand in hand. We'll walk hand in hand someday. Oh, dear. someday. We are not alone. We are not alone. We are not alone today. And deep in my heart, I do believe that we shall overcome someday.
What a perfect way to end, Rabbi Jim. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks to
Thank
everybody.
you, everyone who participated. Thank you, everyone, for coming. We're definitely not alone today, Rabbi Jim. You're right. We're all in our own places, but we're really
We
together
are
as a community.
together. Exactly.
And that feels good. So
Thank you, everyone, for
Michelle.
being here.
Thank you.
And thank you for
Thank
your words,
you.
Barbara. So powerful.
Thank you for sharing.
So powerful, Reverend Barbara. Thank you so much.
She can be rabbi too.
I ordained you as a rabbi as well. Thanks, Barbara.
We're all in this. My soul's rejoice. Amen. Thank you all. God bless.
You can feel the blessing. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. God bless.